What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for watching this video to the end. That's always good for the algorithm. If you want to send this to a friend because you enjoy this kind of content, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for going to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you get your music at, and listen to the music, because I'm super proud of that shit and it always deserves another spin. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for going to Patreon and getting the electional report so you can get tips on when to go on your first date or to launch your product or whatever it is. Also days to avoid, to not try to do all that so you can save yourself a little bit of heartache. That is available on Patreon. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for getting a reading. Thank you for getting, you can find that at zambonifunk.com. Thank you for getting a 10-minute reading, which is basically this same format here. So I'll just sort of lay some stuff on you for a little while via video. Thank you so much for getting all of those things and for rocking with me another time. As always, it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So let's see here. This week we got a couple. So this week is, I feel like the star of the show this week is Mercury. So we got Mercury stationing retrograde in Capricorn this week. Mercury has been having fun in Capricorn, honestly. I like Mercury in Capricorn. I think Mercury in Capricorn is very good for like working out how to do things. I've been talking about like procedural memory and this kind of thing. So procedural memory is the kind of thing, it's not like book learning kind of memory. It's the sort of memory that you use when you're like learning how to ride a bike, or if you've ever heard of muscle memory and this kind of thing, like learning a repetitive task and then teaching your body how to do that and do that thing more efficiently. That is the sort of thing that Mercury, especially in an earth sign like Capricorn, which is Saturnian and therefore very practical, cares a lot about like discipline and repetitive, iterative motion that sort of teaches you how to do the thing. Mercury is in Capricorn is very good at doing that kind of thing. So Mercury, and not only is Mercury in Capricorn good for that kind of thing, but Mercury has also been trine to Jupiter and sextile to Venus, as well as sextile to the man himself, Saturn. So this is beneficial for Mercury and has been beneficial for a while. I like this Mercury in Capricorn, and even as Mercury turns retrograde here, then we're still looking at like some helpful Mercury stuff. Things like kind of want to work out a little bit, even if things are going slower than you want. You know, Mercury retrograde, especially around the time of the station. So this is station week, so we're likely to see like sort of intensified themes around Mercury retrograde. You know, standard issue stuff is going to be delays, miscommunications, misunderstandings, your package gets sent to the wrong place, you you put a typo on something and it changes the whole meaning of something like this, right? Or tech issues, drop your phone in the toilet, this kind of thing. This sort of stuff happens around Mercury retrogrades all the time. And so we can definitely expect that sort of stuff. It's Mercury retrograde time. And not only is it Mercury retrograde time, but also this is the time of year when like the post office is working harder than ever and all of this kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of room here for stuff to go awry and to, you know, wires get crossed and all this kind of stuff. Even with that, I still like this Mercury in Capricorn. I think that, you know, because Saturn is moving forward at this point. Saturn is like going as fast as Saturn goes, basically, at this point. And so this looks kind of effective for Saturn to do the Saturn things, especially since Saturn is in Pisces, making this sextile to Mercury, making this sextile to the ruler of Pisces, who is Jupiter. Like, this looks like a cute sort of situation here. And we see a lot of soft aspects between the water and the earth signs here. So we've got Venus in Scorpio opposite to that Jupiter, and making a trine to that Mercury, or a sextile to that Mercury, and this kind of thing, right? So there's some stuff going on here that looks like it wants to cooperate or get together or something like this. Now, I would mention here a little bit that this is very big. This is a good moment for texting your ex, talking about what you're doing. Like, Mercury retrograde loves to bring back like I think of like the ghosts of Christmas past, right? Like things that have been going on in your past that like sort of show up another time. Mercury retrograde is very big for that. Venus is moving through Scorpio right now. I personally was not prepared for how much like yearning was going to take place under Venus in Scorpio. That just kind of continues this week, and Venus is sort of chatting with that Mercury. So we're likely to see stuff like that coming up throughout this time. So be aware of that, you know, like think through how much you want to respond to that or go for that kind of thing before you do that. Maybe it's the right thing for you, but you know, just be aware that that's what's up right now. The other thing that we have going on this week is we've got a new moon in Sagittarius. So new moon in Sagittarius, anytime we see a new moon, then we're going to be looking at like planting a seed or beginning some kind of situation. Is also the end of the last cycle. So whenever we think about new beginnings or something like that, sometimes it's easy to think about new beginnings as being the moment of like leaves pushing through the dirt and like sort of, you know, like we start to see the plant in that moment. It's important to remember that that is not the same moment that the seed got planted in the first place. And new moon is a planting seed moment. It's when the moon is dark, right? There's darkness, there's a kind of stillness about that. So it's the very beginning of something that, you know, around the Sagittarius things, we can notice that Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and Jupiter is opposite to that Venus. And so we're likely to feel some of this like yearning or longing, or some kind of like deep emotional desire is likely to come up through here. And to, you know, this new moon in Sagittarius is also there with Mars, and Mars is the planet who typically likes to push on things or get things going, get some kind of like action orientation going on here. So it's likely to see that sort of thing that just wants to begin in some kind of way. I don't super love a new moon with Mars, especially with all of the wartime dynamics that are going on right now. But honestly, like Mars is like, I don't know, 10 degrees away, 11 degrees away from the new moon. And so, you know, it's co-present. We're going to have some Mars vibes going on. I've been looking into the forecast for the year ahead, and that shit looks super Marsy. There's so much Mars going on next year. And so this is just like, I don't know, not that big a deal. It's not the biggest Mars situation that we've ever seen here. There is some of this fire. There is some of this like feeling of needing to get moving in some kind of way, and especially seeing that Jupiter, who rules this moon, Jupiter is opposite to Venus in Scorpio. This might have something to do with like, what kinds of things do I really deeply care about in the deep places, and how do I get toward that thing? How do I, you know, Venus in Scorpio, one of the things that I often think about Venus in Scorpio is like, if it isn't dangerous, is it even fun at all? Is it worth even touching if it's not like, if there isn't the chance that I might get bitten by that or something like this, you know? So and Mars is really into that kind of thing, right? Mars rules Scorpio, and so there's something there that this can work with it. So this kind of like set a fire under that ass, which is Mars with the new moon, in order to move toward the Venus thing, right? Venus wants to cooperate or do harmony or togetherness or something like this. Venus in Scorpio this week is in the second decan of Scorpio, and so this is the one where there's some of the images are sort of like the two things that feed each other and want to sort of like be bound up together. It's the super like one of the things that I think about Scorpio a lot of times is like really deep eye contact. It's like we are in the same space because our eyes are together, or you know, like this kind of like deep togetherness that is also deeply emotional and like turns into a whole thing, right? So how can this kind of connection be built? And there's a kind of vulnerability, there's a kind of danger around that, right? And that kind of danger and vulnerability can also be hot or something like this. So there's an opportunity here to feel that kind of passion and see about moving toward that in some kind of way. But at the same time, with this Mercury retrograde, maybe it's also time to reevaluate how things have gone in the past and how valuable is this danger really. Good week for asking questions. Thanks so much for being here. I'll check you next.